Welcome to my next Lost. Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important if you aren't caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Lost, or you're just entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, if you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already seen Lost 3 other times. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm just rewatching it to let it resonate. But I'm not the only one that's currently watching Lost. The legendary Crazy Coffee Man, who you see in my comment section for Lucifer, Dexter, Breaking Bad, and physical media related videos, is actually watching Lost for the very first time. So join us on the journey and let's discuss this awesome and amazing show. But I don't want to see any spoilers past this episode in the comment section. So with all that said, this will be Lost, Season 4, Episode 6. The title of this episode is called The Other Woman. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start with a flashback of Juliet, and she's waiting in a nicely decorated room. Harper, who's a therapist, arrives and begins discussing with her why Juliet is the center of attention and why that makes Juliet uncomfortable. Suddenly, Tom appears and wants to take her to bed. They leave the therapist's office, a building in the barracks. Tom talks about his own experience with Harper, saying she made him cry about his father. They arrive at a house with Ben waiting on the porch. Ben shows Juliet her welcoming gift, her own 2-bedroom house, fully furnished with an opera music collection. When Juliet says it is unnecessary, as she'll only be there for 6 months, Ben responds that he wanted her to feel at home. Back on the island, Sun approaches Juliet, who is erecting a new tent on the beach. Sun asks her why she is setting up a tent on the supposed last days of the island. Jack then approaches, asking if anyone has seen Daniel Faraday and Charlotte, who had vanished overnight. No one has seen them, and Jack becomes visibly upset. Jin admits he saw them enter the jungle, but did not mention anything because Jack said that they are friends. Jack, Juliet, Sun, Jin, and Vincent begin searching for them. And then Juliet is walking through the jungle and suddenly hears whispers. The whispers, I should say. She looks around and finds Harper standing behind her, who says that Ben has a message for her. Daniel and Charlotte are heading towards the Tempest, and Juliet has to stop them using deadly force if necessary. If they figure out how to deploy the gas, everyone is going to die. Juliet asks why Harper doesn't stop them herself, and Harper answers that it is Ben's wish that Juliet does it, and says that although Ben is a prisoner, he is exactly where he wants to be. Harper says that Juliet must kill Daniel, Faraday, and Charlotte. The conversation is interrupted by Jack, who points his gun at Harper and demands to know who she is. Juliet says she's an old friend, she says she's an old friend of Juliet, and she was telling her where the people they are looking for are headed, and that Jack with his gun should go there too. The whispers are heard again, and Harper suddenly disappears. Back to our flashback, Juliet is in her office weeping about the loss of the patient, Henriette, when Goodwin enters and asks her to treat a burn he has got from leaning against a transformer at the power station. She makes a snide comment about Harper, or she does, about Harper, who turns out to be Goodwin's wife. Juliet says that if Goodwin promises not to tell his wife, she won't tell anyone he lied about his chemical burn. After looking around for Harper in vain, back to the island, Juliet conveys what she has been told to Jack, and that the Tempest is an electrical station. Juliet asks for Jack's assistance without fully revealing everything, and he agrees. Daniel, Faraday, and Charlotte pause near a stream in the jungle and look at Daniel Faraday's map. He has doubts about whether or not he will be able to achieve their goal, but she says she is convinced that he can do it and that they should get going. Daniel seems convinced. Suddenly, Kate appears. Charlotte draws her pistol, but Daniel assures her that Kate poses no threat. Kate tells them about Miles, that Locke has him, but that he is fine. After Kate asks what they are doing in the jungle, Charlotte tells a lie about a sat phone running out of juice and that they volunteered to get some batteries from the packs they threw out of the chopper. Kate looks up and sees the green light on Daniel's phone and gets suspicious. She asks why Daniel Faraday has a large pack if they are looking for the packs they threw out of the helicopter. After discovering it contains gas masks, Kate is knocked unconscious by Charlotte. Jack and Juliet continue through the jungle discussing Harper. Juliet reveals to Jack that Harper was her therapist, and she comments that she seemed rather hostile. They trade comments about things that they prefer to ignore from their past, and Jack comments Juliet knows all about them because of his file. She replies, "Trust me, Jack, you don't want to see my file." Back to our flashback, Juliet is discussing the problem with pregnancy on the island with Ben when Goodwin barges into the lab, cheerfully calling to Juliet. Seeing Ben, he becomes awkward and asks if either of them would like a sandwich left by Ethan. When they both decline, he leaves. Ben watches, seemingly now aware of a romantic relationship between Juliet and Goodwin. Back to our flashback, or this is still our flashback, actually. Harper confronts Juliet during a therapy session about the affair Juliet's been having with Goodwin and asks when they started sleeping together, something Juliet initially denies. Harper reveals that she followed them and watched them having sex, and then adds that if she continues having an affair with Goodwin, there will be consequences, and she doesn't want Goodwin to get hurt. Juliet replies that she will not hurt him, but Harper says that she is not talking about Juliet, but about Ben. Claire approaches Locke as he is cleaning a rabbit, requesting to speak to Miles about who they are and where they came from. She reasons that because they shot one, killed one, and they are holding one captive, it is reasonable that they are seen as hostile, but that she might be less intimidating. Locke refuses, asking if she remembers what Charlie said about the boat, and Claire reminds him that all Charlie said is whose boat it isn't, and asks wouldn't he like to know whose boat it is. Locke brings Ben food and clean clothing. Ben questions whether the rabbit that just was served to him had a number 1 on it. Just before Locke leaves, Ben asks, has the revolution began yet? He tells Locke that if he's not careful, his people will organize an insurrection, and that Locke's people will be very angry when they find out he doesn't have a plan. Then he attempts to undermine Locke's confidence by talking about leadership. Locke cuts Ben off by revealing that he knows about the discussion Ben had with Miles concerning the $3.2 million, and Locke sarcastically provides Ben with his first dollar, and Ben mentions to Locke that it's not the people on the freighter he's worried about, it's who they work for he's worried about. Ben then attempts to persuade Locke to let him live in one of those houses in exchange for the information he wants. Ben will have to show Locke proof. Back to another flashback. Sometime after Juliet has not told Goodwin that Harper already knew about the affair that she confronted about, Goodwin and Juliet are on a private date at the beach far from the barracks, and oblivious Goodwin says he wants to tell her everything about their relationship and that it shouldn't matter to his wife, who says he has been sleeping on the couch for over a year. But Juliet says Ben wouldn't like it. Goodwin then asks if it is because Ben has a crush on her and reveals that everyone recognizes this fact because Ben follows her around like a puppy. I follow Juliet around like a puppy too. I love Juliet. And then Ben says that he has been working with chemicals that could kill every man, woman, and child on the island if he flips the wrong switch, and that Ben has enough of his plate than to worry about the two of them. Juliet expresses that she is still concerned. Ben would be upset, but Goodwin laughs dismissively. What is he going to do? The scene immediately jumps to the previously shown scene of the barracks perspective of the crash of Flight 815, including Ben telling Goodwin to go undercover. This time we see Juliet and Goodwin exchanging worried glances in front of Harper. Goodwin leaves without looking at Harper, and then Juliet and Harper exchange glances too. Jack and Juliet stumble across Kate, who is just coming around from being knocked out by Charlotte. Juliet, looking a bit upset, offers to get Kate some water. Kate and Jack discuss what happened, and Kate tells him about the gas mask after Jack tells her that they are looking for a power station. Jack begins to call frantically for Juliet, but she doesn't answer. Ben and Locke discuss trust issues and reach a deal. Ben says that if his people wanted him back, they would have already stormed the barracks. Ben reveals a safe to Locke, which is hidden behind a picture of the house. Locke opens it to find a videotape marked Red Sox. They play the tape, and Ben explains that Charles Whitmore, the man shown in the tape, is the one who owns the freighter, and that he has been trying to find the island. The footage also shows a blindfolded man, who Ben is one of the people who has been captured, getting beaten by Whitmore. Ben says that he doesn't know how Whitmore knows about the island, and that he thinks Whitmore wants to exploit it. Ben finds a file out of his safe, or gets a file out of his safe, and gives it to John Locke. He explains that it contains all the information he has gathered about Whitmore, adding that the information is a combination of vague guesswork and concrete facts. Locke demands to know the identity of Ben's man on the boat, and Ben agrees to tell him, but warns that he might want to sit down. Kate and Jack follow Juliet's trail, discovering Daniel and Charlotte's tracks as well. Kate tells Jack about her conversation with Miles, that people on the freighter know that she is a fugitive. Juliet approaches the Tempest, and noting that the destroyed security system opens the pulley door and draws her gun. Ben invites Juliet to a dinner party, which turns out to be a private date for just the two of them. This is a flashback, of course. Ben tricked her into an evening alone with him. They talk about Zach and Emma and how good Juliet has been with them. Juliet says that they have been asking about their mother in Los Angeles, and since they are only children, if they really belong on the island with them. But Ben replies that they are on the list and who are going to question, and who are they to question who is on the list or not. Ben then becomes angered when she mentions Goodwin, as he's been undercover for 3 weeks now, and they already have retrieved the people from the list for the tail section survivors. Julia tells him that after losing Ethan, their top spy for the middle section, it's a risk, suggesting he may also be caught. He tells her that Goodwin cannot come back yet, and claims that he is making a case for Ana Lucia to join their society, adding that Goodwin seems to have an inappropriate relationship with Ana Lucia, trying to make Juliet jealous. There is no reason for him to hurry back. Ben remarks, but this assignment will be over soon. And then Juliet sees Daniel Faraday wearing a hazmat suit and gas mask while working on the station's computer, as messages blare over the speakers warning about contamination. Juliet holds the gun on Daniel Faraday as he questions what she is doing there. She snatches off his gas mask, telling him that he will die with the rest if he releases the gas, but she counters that he's not trying to release it, but to render it inert to make it safe. Just then, Charlotte hits Juliet from behind with a metal bar, and a struggle ensues as Daniel continues working on the computer. Juliet then recovers her gun and tells Charlotte to order Daniel to stop what he is doing, but Charlotte informs him that they are trying to prevent Ben from releasing gas to kill everyone on the island. Charlotte states, "We know he's used it before," and Juliet continues to hold the gun on Ben, seemingly having an inner struggle, but then lets him complete the task seconds before the contamination. Daniel says that was a close one. Ben comes to see Juliet reading Jack's file that had just been given to her by Mikhail. She tells him about Jack's surgical skills, especially against tumors. However, Ben doesn't seem very interested about the news for the moment, as he has something else on his mind. He takes Juliet on a walk to a hillside where she is directed to Goodwin's decomposing body lying in plain sight, impaled upon a wooden stake. The decomposition suggests he's been lying dead for about a week, at least a week or more. Ben reveals he knows about their affair. Juliet accuses him of deliberately sending Goodwin on a suicide mission. She asks why he would do this. Ben then underlines the fact that the reason why he is keeping her on the island is because you're mine. Then he says that she can leave. She can have as much time as she needs to grieve the loss of her lover. Back to the island, as Juliet and Charlotte exit the Tempest, they bump into Jack and Kate after a brief confrontation where Charlotte tells them that she and Daniel just saved their life. Kate follows Charlotte inside to see what she is referring to, but Jack says he'll take their word for it. Juliet also remains outside where she confides in Jack, telling him that these people came here to wage war against Ben, and Ben's going to win. And when he does, Jack, you don't want to be anywhere near me. Jack asks her why not, and she replies that Ben thinks she is his, and he knows how I feel about you. They share a kiss, and Jack tells her that Ben knows where to find him if he wants to. He comforts her with another kiss, and the Tempest lights flicker. And then our last scene is Hurley and Sawyer playing horseshoe. Hurley makes a lucky shot, and when Sawyer is surprised, Hurley says he's been just getting lucky, and then they see Ben walking freely into his home. Ben cheerfully says, "See you guys at dinner," and Hurley and Sawyer look extremely confused to end this episode of Lost. So this was a little slower episode, but still had good moments. I'm going to give it an 8.0 out of 10. My characters of the episode are going to be Ben and Juliet. Juliet specifically, obviously it's her episode. And you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Lost. What would you rate it? And who would you choose as a character of the episode, or anything else that you want to add? And remember to click right here for my Breaking Bad seasons rank. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't Breaking Bad. I'll put different videos that you can click on to see, familiarize yourself with my channel. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Join the team. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Show your damn support and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.